All right, let's get back underway. Recording still. Okay. Coming to JC with this one. How much heel is too much?
Good question. Boat definitely goes better with weight. No question. And in fact, so I always sail with forward cap, and preferably in person in the back, so your main sheet cover would be the biggest person too. I'm not that heavy, so when I wasn't driving my boat, I do go to the front of the boat, be one of the two people in the front, because I needed the second one back. Third one from the front to be big boat, and it's fast, really fast. Feels really great on the helm. But that doesn't really answer your question about heel. I don't know. In light you actually want to get the weight. You know, you have people sitting to leeward and trying to get the boat to lean over. But
well, you don't want the deck edge in the water. Yeah, that's too much. Again, I keep referring back to the actual video, but 15 degrees is optimum in the actuals. That's what we're down to. Even deliberately heeling in light airs, the whole shape works with that. So there'll be an equivalent in the bearing, but I'm looking for several inches clear of deck edge to the water on the leeward side. But if I've got deck edge touching the water, I've got too much heel.
I think for me, it's more about the loading on the helm. So if you are heavily loaded, it's because if you heel too much, then you're heavily loaded, and you'll be talking to your main sheet trimmer about giving you a bit more bit of sound.
Yeah. What heel battery on and the
That goes back to the question about staying pointing. Lots of pointing is actually leeway. If you're drifting sideways, too much heel.
If you have 10 degrees of heel, you'll be increasing the water line length, so that's generally good. And anything more than that, it's going to be generally bad.
Yeah, yes, well put. Yeah.
All right, coming to Giles with this one. Are mainsail wrinkles positive for a fast boat, or should I be taking them out? Are mainsail wrinkles positive for a fast boat?
Yeah, so a lot of John's points earlier. I think it depends how old the main is to some extent, but new mains, I see a lot of people cranking on that main halyard too tight. The flow is set right in the new main. You don't need to be cranking on the main halyard. You need depth in it, and so speed wrinkles, as they call them, are actually quite fast. And we sell a lot with speed wrinkles. As the main gets older, yeah, there's probably something to be said for earlier applying the backstay and Cunningham and just getting a, or if you've got any more main halyard left, you can take out the main halyard just to try to bring the camber forwards. But take depth out, bring the camber forwards. But generally, we would be on the edge of having wrinkles upwind, just to keep some power in it.
The vertical wrinkles.
Horizontal ones at the
Oh,
bottom
yeah.
end, yeah.
The speed wrinkles are the horizontal ones that come sort of typically in the bottom or down towards the bottom quarter.
So a follow up on that, which is, do you find the Cunningham a go-to tool very much? More, I've always used it as to compensate for backstay or to compensate for other tools rather than in its own right. Do you see that differently? Obviously, that would affect where those wrinkles appear.
it makes the mainsail look better in photographs. But a new sails, but once the sail is shrunk older, they get smaller, and so you can do it all on the halyard. I finally fitted a Cunningham in my last year in Dublin because we've got a new mainsail up thing, and it was longer on the lead, and it was longer on everything, and realised, oh my god, for the first time ever, we actually need a Cunningham. But
To get some tension in the up.
yes, it just looked wrong. It looked like we just wanted to pull it down a bit. Yeah. But whether it made any difference or not, I don't know.
Yeah, we've defaulted to using the Cunningham to get the luff tension in simply with the backstay.
Yeah.
Or it's always in simply with the backstay. And haven't typically used the main halliard, but in lighter areas, definitely we've had a difference in main halliard tension between upwind and downwind. Excuse me.
All right, David, coming to you with this one. When going deep downwind, I can ease the spinnaker halyard and roll the boat to project the kite more to weather. Is this extra windage worth the extra drag on the helm from the unbalanced effort?
I think if you break that down into the different things, you put a number of things nested into that question. I think it's the expression dragon pole, which the Dragon Fleet uses, which is even getting your bowman to pull the spinnaker pole back to so it's touching the rigging, and then letting the sheet the guide go, so that you've got the clue of the sail floating 2 or 3 feet beyond the end of the pole, and that lets you project the sail up to weather, and you get more projected area downwind, dead downwind, and keeping the boat stable, so not having the fight with the hull and the rudder, but getting projected area. That's a good way of getting projected area. But you do need to think about pulling the pole back to let the sheet, the guy rather, run through the pole to get the sail out. I found that to be fast on Dynamite. I don't know whether you guys use that. And let the sail come out into the weather, only if you're going dead downwind, or you're almost by the lee. That's driven by the course. If you're trying to optimize on the tide and you're trying to keep a particular angle, otherwise it doesn't make that much difference.
Yeah, I've got to say it's not something we do. But we always have the top of the sail away from the mast by this much, because otherwise it's crashing into the jumper stress. I think we had a knot in the halliards that couldn't go.
Yeah, don't take the head right into the
Yeah,
Yeah. I think also you can get weight on the windward side in light airs and project the spinnaker over that way, but you end up with lee helm, and I don't think that's fast.
Lee helm should be when you're trying to go to leeward, actually.
Yeah, but you can end up with too much. I think much weight on the windward side.
Yeah.
So
You always stack your boat. We always notice you always got your crew very much stacked to windward, downwind.
Yeah.
Trying to get that, you're not just sitting around, enjoying it. Yeah.
Letting the mast go forward down, it has more impact than trying to get the fight out to one side.
Yeah, deacon. That they backstage too short, and Richard said, "I never go fast downwind." As
Oh, you don't forget it.
then he back to the and suddenly both people done.
What about fore and aft trim, like moving the crew further forwards, but going downwind?
Yeah, good question. Traditionally, it's works. I think it's all down
Yeah.
the design.
Yeah, good question. I don't really know. I don't think you certainly don't want all the way to the back of the boat on downwind.
But asymmetrics slightly.
Yeah. Just keeping it in the middle. I mean, keeping the inertia of the boat.
Yeah.
Keeping it low.
You don't pick the transom out of the water too much by moving body weight forward. If you in some boats, if you lift the transom out of the water and it reduces the weight of surface drag, well, that's an advantage. But the Dynamite's the Daring hull is not that tweaky.
Yeah, keeping the weights together is
Weights together in the middle and low.
Yes, so
on
reducing
that
your pitching.
Yeah. I mean, on J24s, we go and lie on the top, half the crew go and lie on the top of the hill and right down in the cabin to reduce the circular distance. Because it's
Welcome to Headband's chat. All right, Giles, I come to you with this one. In light weather, I haul the traveller well to leeward and ease the sheet lots to get the twist the telltales are asking. It feels rather strange. Is it the correct thing to do?
I'm not sure the question was right because the taking the traveller to leeward, normally you want to traveller to windward and use the sheets and thereby keeping the boom in the middle. So let's assume the question is.
Sorry, that is what you're supposed to say.
Traveller to windward. So traveller to windward and twist. Yeah. So the question was light airs, right?
Yeah, in light weather. Yeah.
So definitely, you're not going block to block in light airs. Otherwise, you've got too much hook on the leash. So yes, you again, you're looking at those leech telltales on the main and just trying to get those to fly, and that will probably tell you that you need to pull the trapper up to windward, keep the boom in the middle, keep the foot pretty tight because you don't want excess baggage at the clearly dragging you backwards. But yeah, that's the definite one.
I think that probably follows into the next question, which is very similar. How do I assess the right twist on the mainsail when reaching or running?
Yeah, the leech tells us. You should have a number of them up the leech, and for beating, as I said, maybe you get that top one stalled a little bit. That seems to give you the right VNG. But for reaching, you get them all flying.
All right. Any questions from the audience? Open it up.
Just on the flat flying, do you always have it at the point of collapse? And how much trimming? Are you trimming it all the time? So you've got a curl which is beginning to collapse it, or do you have it at a ball to strap so it's more stable? Or do you have something you think?
Well, yeah, I think you want to trim it on the edge the whole time. But if you've got a sort of funky bit coming up past the parallel with some waves and things, you might oversheet just to keep it going through there. But the rest of the time, you want it right on the edge.
I'd agree with that, but I'd say there's also this came home to us very clearly in last year's council that when it collapses, you lose a few feet. So all that gain that you had by having it on the edge compared with a little bit tighter than the edge, you've lost it. And so particularly on a shy reach, I'd say the run is not so important, but on a shy reach, when you've got that mate just flogs, it's a killer. So that's when it's really, really important to be totally on top of it. Trim, keep 100% alert, because if you over trim it, you're going to kill the speed, and if you under trim it, and the helm's got to be dead straight as well, because he doesn't stand a chance of the helm's wandering around and over place looking over his shoulder trying to find out where they're going.
John, you made a point about the jib telltales. You were explaining that your view the most important ones were at the top of the jib, I think.
Well, they're all important, but I think that we don't look at the ones at the top as much sometimes, or certainly we probably do, but we don't. I added a couple at the top of the jib that were not on the back of the jib; they were forward of that, because I can see the whole flow around quarter of the way down from the top.
So if you're working to the top one, I'm not sure I can see it, but that's
well, yes,
like
it's quite hard actually. This is where the trimmer's got to do that.
Yeah, okay. But what is the bottom one doing when the top one is flying level then?
Well, the top one should be, the bottom one should be. I'm talking about. Are we talking about the leech or the luff?
The luff.
The telltales on the front of the sail or the
yes,
back
the front of the sail. Yeah.
Oh right. Well, they're supposed to be flowing as normal. I was thinking about ones behind it.
Ah, right. Okay. Sorry, that makes sense. I understand what you're saying. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The flow over the top of the sail is they're quite high aspect, which means that it's very easy to depower them. You just suddenly the leech is just not tight enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
On an overlapping genera, it tends to sort of happen. You use the sheet, and the bottom and the leech tend to sort of move at the same time. But what happens on a very high aspect jib is you use the sheet and the top goes. It's suddenly got no leech tension.
Gotcha.
Yeah, Mike made the point earlier. It's easy to over trim the jib, and it does slow you down. I'm watching that 3/4 height profile again. Keep going back to edgewards. I've got a clear view panel in the main, just so I can look at that, and I can look at where the leech of the jib is on the spreaders. So we're trimming to a visual in and out on the 3/4 height. But that makes the difference of that 0.1 a knot or the 20th on that tweaky fleet. Same principles apply. Watching that 3/4 height, we probably never do it, or we'll rarely do it on a daring, because it's not easy to see. You're relying on the trimmer calling it for you. But get used to watching that 3/4 height. It makes a big difference.
Thank you.
How much do you vary luff tension on the jib?
I'm loosening it in light airs. I've started trimming it on and off occasionally.
I actually, there's a really good. We haven't talked about the jib halyards, jib up tension. I've set my jib up with a lot of jib halyard tension. So the load is almost more on the jib than it is on the wire. So you set it up before the race with the main sheet off, so the rig's quite loose. Keep pulling the halyard on the jib until actually you've got wrinkles in the forestay like this. And then when the whole thing rocks back, it's taking the load on the jib.
Trimming the Cunningham on the jib?
Ah, well, what I do on mine, because you've got two attachments at the bottom of the jib. So you've got the wire that goes through the sail, and you've also got the sail as well. So what I did on my boat, I connected those together. There were two shackles above deck, but under the deck, they're actually the same piece of rope. And there's a block under the deck. So when I pull that, I'm pulling both of them, and they equalise the load between them.
Sail and the wire.
Okay. So saying on it equals the tension between the sail and the wire.
Yeah.
And I just pull that in.
Ours is different, but we set it up much the same. So we'll pull the jib halyard on to the point where the forestay's just got a little bit of wrinkle, and then you know that the jib halyard is going to be the jib halyard wire is going to be fully tensioned. Yeah. And I don't want to do that to extreme because I think the wire may eventually snap if the knock is
Load on that rather than the
I haven't broken mine yet.
But ultimately the forestay will be tight. Don't stretch the jib luff wire just a little bit.
Yeah.
So that's set up the luff wire, so you've got no scalloping of the luff behind the forestay, and then it's a case of the tension in the cloth, jig cunning, whatever you want to call it, and for that, we for a relatively new sail, we hardly pull that on. Just
So you use the two attachments attached separately. One's fixed.
Yes.
The forward one is fixed, and
For us,
the
the forward
stay
attachment.
attachment one is.
For us, the forward one is fixed. It's I think it's a bottle screw, but it's just fixed down to the whatever you call that bit in the boat, in the bow. Yeah. And then the halyard tension on the winch actually adjusts the tension.
It's the equivalent of the speed wrinkles on the main. You're not using the main Cunningham, you're not using the jib on a new sail.
Yeah.
John, when you pull your main halyard right up to the black band or to the stopper, when you're going upwind, do you then adjust the tension, the loft tension on your main from the bottom end, or do you just not bother?
Just don't bother. Very, very rarely needed Cunningham. We finally fitted one when we've got a new mainsail where it was sort of longer in the life. Otherwise, it's all done on the halyard.
Yeah.
That was almost the accelerator of the boat. So with call him on Defender. Jeremy on Defender runs. He's fantastic Holden. He's used to being as fast as he can go upwind. And there was one day and the boat wasn't going. I was new on the boat, so I went and checked his main halyard, and it just wasn't all the way quite as much. So I put that up, and suddenly we're on again.
Yeah.
It's the main accelerator on the boat.
Does anyone have a micro adjuster on the main halyard then?
Yeah. My main halyard and my jib halyard both go on to fine tunes, which is by the
fuel system as well.
Yeah. And can't get enough of. Well, it is so important because it just holds the whole sail is just sagging. Yeah. Put the feet on, but it's heating in a bag, not a sail. That's effectively. Well, it is, but it's putting this. It's not really.
Taking it up.
It's taking it up
rather than putting it down.
Yeah.
I've got a question about downwinds, maybe a bit more.
Do you have a view as to, from a BMG point of view, just how far off the wind you want to go into the optimal downwind?
I think wind strength wise, in light airs, you can even go lower than dead downwind, saying by the lead slightly. Tactically, you might want to do that, and that's fine. That's still fast. But in a blow, then you've got to come up to stabilise the boat because all this yawing it's going to be slow. All that cranking on the helm to counter the motion of the boat. So then you come up a little bit, and then you've got that window between broaching and doing a death roll. Which we all know very well. And trying to keep it in that window as the wind increases, their window narrows, and that's really forcing your hand on that angle thing.
What did you say, downwind? Sorry, I didn't like. Sorry, that was.
Well, I think you can go even below dead downwind. So you're saying by the lead a little bit. So tactically, you might want to do that coming into the bar, tie the boats around, that kind of thing.
Okay. That's quicker than saying than the animals.
Projection the kite. So normally, yeah, it also depends on how comfortable the boat is. In flat water, I think you've got a lot more scope. Where it gets a bit more choppy, the boat needs a bit of stabilising, I think, and then you can come up, get a little bit more bite with the spinnaker, a little bit more further around, and keep the boat more stable, less helm movement. Seems to work. I don't know what you guys think.
It's a trade-off between sailing extra distance and boat speed.
But depth is, I think you can generally go depth deep on a derrick. Yeah. If you weren't sure which to do, you could go deep.
Yeah.
It was pretty blowy yesterday, and we pulled our lure tweakers in on the spinnaker, to make the spinnaker more stable. Is that the correct thing to do?
Yeah, I think you can sort of lock it down a bit. Yeah.
Stops the helm movement.
Well, it stops the spinnaker doing that a bit.
Yes,
which
yeah,
then
stabilises it.
helm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to sail deep to, otherwise you're choking. So
Yeah, sure. But it's only on dead run.
Yeah, that's good.
Rarely, but every so often we got the reaching leg and we got the wind somewhere on the beam. What are your considerations in terms of trim, and when do you decide that it's no longer worth having the kite off?
Control.
So the first thing is have somebody on the kicking stroke, right, and they're ready to let the boom off, because the boom on the derrick is very low compared with the water. Low freeboard and low boom on the deck, so that boom end's going to hit the water very easily, and then you just load it up and you broach. That's having somebody on the kicker is paramount.
Well, you can do a reach with the boat with no kicker on at all, and the beam be flying in the air.
Yeah.
Because the boat's more controllable than if you pull the boom down and try to get some flow. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the boat upright.
And keep that mainsail can be flogging and the spinnaker driving, and you've got the centre of effort right forwards. It can be actually stable and fast.
When you said the boom's going,
No, the main.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the mainsail might be just flogging and the boom's up deep, but it's deep pad, so it's not overpowering.
and how do we stop it going submarining like it does?
Daring.
Small kite with a lift at the bow, big kite varies. The big kite has got big shoulders and falls the top of the mast forward and pushes the bow down. If you use the small kite, it actually lifts the bow out. And I know that a lot of people don't have a set that small kites. In more than 50 knots of wind or something, you're going to be just as quick with a small.
Yeah, they're not. Don't get frightened about using it.
And actually, it's pretty good on. If you want to do it to like reach and lighter reach, the small kite is good as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got better VMG.
All right, time for one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
You've talked about the kicking strap when on an overpowered reach with counter, but when you're using the sails normally, how much change to the kicking strap do you do to get around each mark?
Very little.
Don't use it much. upwind because it's the angle's so bad.
Yeah.
That
It's all makes
it's all on the gravel and the tracks. Yeah.
But downwind, but we haven't talked about how much kicker to have on downwind. So a bit of twist is fast, but if you have twist in heavy airs, then you're going to be death rolling much sooner. So when you pull the boom down, downwind in a blow, you're at risk of it hitting the water. But if you're deep enough, that won't be a problem. So just making sure you don't have too much twist. And today we lost Josh over the side. I think somebody introduced twist to the mainsail just when we didn't need it, and we just death rolled.
That's like pulling it off.
But letting it kick her off.
Then you go on.
So boom came up, too much twist. Yes, Spinnaker pole went into the water and snapped. Josh went over the side, and it was a bit messy. We think that was simply because the kicker got that too quickly.
Yeah.
Time for more.
That's good.
Well, I think that's it. Thank you very much for our panel for
Thank you.
both their time and their knowledge.
Yeah.